Elementary parents. All right, how many are middle school parents? Okay, how many are community members with no kids in elementary or middle? All right, how many are high school parents? All right, how many fit in some other category that I did not mention? All right, grandparents, yeah. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. When we originally thought of this idea, one of the things that we really want to do is share the good work that is happening here at North High School, and really mostly with our feeder families. One of the things, the beautiful thing that has gone on over the last year is the Northwest Community Committee has met over the last year with a wide variety of parents and community members to talk about what do we want in our schools. Not just our high school, but just K-12 or even after 12. And so a lot of the work that we are doing here at North High School is in alignment with that. But how do we need to constantly think about how do we communicate that with everybody that's coming up to the feeder pattern. Something that I'm very passionate about, and that's the reason I'm actually the principal here, is I really believe in the feeder pattern. As many of you know, I was the principal at one of our feeder middle schools. And to me, I was on one end thinking about how do we ensure that we are preparing our students so they are successful in high school. And then I thought, I sent them off to high school. How do I ensure that they're ready for college? So hence I said, I need to follow you. Much to some of the kids who are saying, Miss, I have to be with you for 8 years or 7 years. I said, that's all right. You'll be happy when I kick your butt back to college. So that's been great. But I think really it comes with that passion and that desire to ensure that we have a strong feeder pattern. It's not just about North High School, but it's how we are working in Northwest Denver to ensure that our kids are college and career ready. And so that's really the focus. Tonight, I'm going to share a little bit about what's gone on at North in the past, what some of our work has been this school year, and where we see our work going next school year and beyond. I think part of it is in order to move forward, we have to understand our history and understand what went well, what did not go well, how do we make improvements, and constantly be doing the best job that we can for kids. Before I start, I wanted to introduce Jeannie Kaplan is here. Where did she go? There she is, one of our school board members. I know our Tudo is planning on coming, so he'll be tiptoeing in, so thank you guys for being here. And then Jennifer, our CSC president, so thank you. So tonight, really talking about the current, the short, and the long-range planning. This is our mission here at North High School, is really thinking about how do we make this community committed to utilizing data to improve our classroom instruction and intervention for kids. Our mission is to provide students with engaging and rigorous classrooms where they have experiences focused on literacy and academic achievement so that they're prepared for college and post-secondary opportunities. We really believe in the family aspect, the community aspect, where we have community members and our entire community understanding, participating, and supporting this standards-based learning environment, and that this is a collaborative effort to produce students that are ready for that 21st century. This mission has been what North High School has had for at least the last 2 years. We are going to be probably breaking this down over the course of this next year to really make sure that it is even more targeted, more intentional to ensure that kids are prepared. So as everybody knows, North is a turnaround school, and so approximately almost 2 years ago, it was identified for federal turnaround status. And the status that was designated to North was transformation. And before this transformation began, this was kind of the state of affairs. There had been multiple attempts, and I know, many of you that I've known for years have talked a little bit about, all the multiple attempts that we have tried here in not just at North High School, but in Northwest Denver to ensure that our schools are ready for our kids. But at North particularly, there was high teacher turnover, a limited culture of academic achievement and high expectations, lack of accountability for both staff and students, disconnects between tradition and history, weak systems, and lack of follow-through, and lack of communication between parents and the community, and between the community and the school. And so these were things that were really permeating this school prior to it being designated a federal turnaround almost 2 years ago. In regards to professional development, which is a critical aspect of how we support staff, that was also limited. There was little or no development around utilizing data to inform instruction or standards, or even thinking about scheduling decisions. In a high school, how kids are scheduled is critical to their success. We have to think about how we are choosing courses thoughtfully that challenge kids, that make sure that they're ready for college, and those things did not happen. The chronic low achievement, the instructional systems, structures, and processes, which were weak. And so all of these things, everybody said something needs to be done. And so this is kind of what happened. Low achievement also has permeated North for a long time. It's part of it due to the insufficient professional development. Students arriving to school below grade level. I, from firsthand, saw how that happened at the middle school level. If you were proficient in advanced, you chose this path. If you were unsatisfactory or partially proficient, you chose North. That is not how we need to be doing business as a feeder system. We need to make sure that we have a wide range of learners, because we know that every kid's thoughts and ideas and thinking support each other. And so there was not that outreach from North High School's part to ensure that we have a heterogeneous population, to make sure that kids are also challenged no matter what level they're at. And so those are some of those pieces. The students did not drive the teaching and learning. We had a lot of issues around literacy and English language acquisition. We were not monitoring progress, and there was an inconsistent focus on the college readiness pieces. So these are things that wasn't about just 1 year, but over time, this has led to that. So, 2 years ago, we're designated as a turnaround school, undergoing transformation. And part of this transformation is really focusing on 3 key pieces. 1, professional development and instructional focus, really supporting teachers, making sure that we have high-quality teachers that can hone their craft and do the best job they can with kids academically, making sure that we have rigorous classrooms that challenge kids no matter what level that they're at. 2nd, around prevention intervention, from what we created our engagement center, which this year we're very happy and proud to say that it's one of the strongest engagement centers in Denver Public Schools, and being recognized for that, where this is not how it was 3 years ago. So that really provides an alternative for students who are overage, undercredited, to make sure that we get them reconnected to education and get them also ready for college and careers. And then attendance and behavior. The school has done a lot of good work over the last 3 years around behavior. We have some of the lowest suspension rates, lowest kind of behavior violations, so to speak, and also taking on the issues around attendance. And then college readiness. This is a critical focus that we, not just in North High School, but in all of our high schools, is a strong focus that is everything that we're doing as part of our transformation is making sure that kids are college ready. Currently, 70% of the kids in Denver Public Schools have to take remedial courses when they get to college. That has to stop. And so this is a really critical piece that not just at this school, but in all our schools, that we're focusing on ways that we can diminish that. And then lastly, around parent and community communication. There has been some good communication over the last years, and greatly improved around activities and partnerships and those kind of pieces. Our focus this year is really maintaining those, but strengthening parent communication around academics. That's one thing that's kind of been absent from our vocabulary, because we need to create this academic culture and work with parents and families around supporting the academic culture. And so that's really been our focus this year. A little bit about what we're doing this year is focusing on that teacher quality piece. We have some phenomenal teachers in this building, and it is amazing to see over the course of the year, when provided support, how excited they become. Their brains are thinking. I have a whole group of teachers that I hear every day over the last month saying, I cannot wait for next year. And usually you don't say that right before you're about to have summer vacation. That's an oddity. So I keep saying, well, yeah, but make sure you take a little bit of vacation. They're so excited to start working on next year. And that's been a lot about this consistent professional development we've been providing them. The professional development is about how do we create strong thinkers. We know that kids are going to have to encounter different kind of content no matter where they go, no matter what their interest is. But if we can prepare teachers to teach, to create thinkers, then kids will be able to encounter whatever they need to do. And so a lot of our professional development has started around that. Identifying the needs too through the use of data and monitoring student progress. And then even realigning how we support teachers as administrators and as instructional leaders. We have professional learning communities. They meet twice a week in their professional learning communities in their departments to look at how do we prepare thinkers. We're looking at essential learning goals, breaking those down, putting them into student-friendly language, because if I'm a teacher and I have these goals for kids, the only way that those kids are actually going to meet those goals is if the kids know them. And so thinking about how do we ensure that kids are taking ownership for their essential learning goals or their learning targets to drive their progress. We're, like I said, the focus on utilizing thinking strategies and then frequent assessment and review of data analysis to inform and make adjustments with our instruction. Tracking student progress is something that I don't think, in education we've been able to master. It's something that I think every year, especially since I've been in Denver Public Schools for the last 10 years, we have gotten better and better and better at. And so that's been a big focus, because we can't just wait to the end and say, oh, the kids made it or they didn't. We have to be monitoring it along the way. We're doing that through interim assessments, for also common assessments at the departments. But also, the other piece, and I kind of mentioned it, we can't do this alone as adults. We have to make sure that kids are part of this process. So the third bullet around student body of evidence. One of the things we've rolled out this year with our students is what we call body of evidence folders, BOEs. And students are looking at their own data at different points throughout the year, setting goals on their progress, and then reviewing and seeing, are they meeting their goals? And this is something that has gone out at different points throughout the year. In fact, next Monday and Tuesday, kids are going to be going through their classes, looking at their body of evidence folders to say, how did I do this year? Because unless the kids own their own data and own their own progress and own their own goals and monitor it themselves, we're never going to be able to reach where we need to. And so it's been really fascinating to see. We rolled this out starting in January, the very first day back, and it was really amazing to see, because the seniors, there were 2 comments from seniors. There was actually supposed to be a little walkout, which I think high schoolers like to do. And apparently they didn't. And one girl got really upset, and she said, man, we were supposed to walk out today, but everybody just wants to look at their own data and not walk out. So there was, and I said, okay. And then the other commentary we got from seniors is, why haven't we been looking at this all along? And to get to their senior year and never really analyze their own data and set goals was something that they said, why? This should be the part of how we normally do business. And what's nice to see is many of our middle grades programs are doing this with their kids, so over time this will become the language that we speak, where we are all doing this together. And so it's been really nice to see, and we're looking forward to taking this to the next level next year. The other thing too is reading progress monitoring. We know that being strong readers is a critical element to student success. And so one of the things that we're doing is making sure that we monitor student reading progress throughout the year. Some kids are monitored 3 or 4 times throughout the year. Some kids are monitored weekly. And then looking at their own trackers and setting goals on this. So this is a critical element, and we're looking at expanding that next year, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Additional actions of improvement is we've been doing better articulation, not as much with our elementaries, but definitely our middle grades around writing instruction. We know we cannot do this grades 9 through 12. This is a 6-12 issue, this is a K-12 issue. And so one of the things that we've been fortunate to do this year is we are partnering with our middle grades teachers, starting with the language arts teachers, to look at writing instruction 610, excuse me. And we brought all the teachers here. It was March. And they really delved into what are the common practices they're using, what are the strongest practices that we're seeing student results with, sharing those ideas, also aligning our reading materials. One of the things is the way we've done business is each teacher likes this book and that teacher likes this book, and books are repeated and not repeated. So we've had some thoughtful planning of what novels do we use, 610 for all kids in Northwest Denver. And so that was really nice to see, is that articulation with our feeder middle schools. The best part about that is the teachers walked out saying the same thing as that senior did. Why have we not been doing this all along? And it's not that difficult to do. With strong facilitation and planning for it, it's something that's very easy. And the teachers they said, next year we want to do this quarterly. They want to do it, quarterly next year and the coming years after, to really delve into and even bringing student work to the table and say, are we having the same expectations as a feeder pattern? And so that it was really, really nice to see. We have also a lot of community-based partners that help support our academic achievement areas. We partner with City Year to support ninth graders with tutoring and in-class support in literacy and math classes. We work with Colorado Youth for a Change to provide monitoring support for students who are still doing okay but maybe on the edge a little bit, to get them back and reconnected academically. And we are partnering with them for grades 9 through 12 based on different cohorts of kids. We work with Yes Mentoring to provide extra supports for 10th graders that may be severely off track, to re-engage them before they hit their junior year, because we know junior year is a critical year that colleges look at. So working with a lot of different, and then even AmeriCorps as one of our partners to support getting kids to class, and rewarding kids for those positive attendance behaviors. So we've been doing a lot. And the last piece too is around student engagement. This is a focus district-wide, but making sure that we have a minimum of 90% of our freshmen and our sophomores, minimum, engaged in an activity or a sport, whether it be debate club, or whether it be lacrosse, or whether it be football, or whether it be drama, but getting them, because we know that getting kids finding their hook or finding their one is an essential part. And so that's been really successful this year. Here's just some of our data that so far we're about to go into final exams, so we're going to really be looking at that soon. But looking at the district interim assessments, we put up some highlights here for the different courses, percent correct. So if you look at biology, we beat the district in biology, in geography, and in geometry. And then also and that was from the ones in December. Then in the winter, which is February, we only look at math, but both algebra and geometry having a larger percent correct than the district. So we were really proud of some of the results that we're seeing, and we know that we're not where we need to be, but absolutely it's encouraging because these were reversed numbers previously.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Is that all DPS high schools?
Yes.
So it's all DPS
Yep.
high schools.
One of the initiatives we're working on, this is also another district initiative, but that North has been thinking about even before the district started thinking about it, is about expanded learning opportunities. And expanded learning opportunities for kids come in different forms. One of the things that we know is that all kids need more time in language arts and in math. Whether you're in an honors AP class so that you have the time to go deeper, participate in Socratic seminars, et cetera, et cetera. Or if you're a real struggling learner and you need more conferencing within the classroom. So one of the things that we are really working on is increased minutes in class. So we're going to have anywhere from 70 to 100 minutes of math and language arts daily for 9th and 10th graders next year. And that is for all kids, not just some kids. Because one of the things is before it used to be some kids, and then we create track systems. And so we want to make sure that it's for all kids, whether you're in an honors biology, you need more time to go deeper into some of your biology labs. Or if you're really struggling in biology, you get that support as well. Also, making sure that we partner with our city year to provide the lunch and after-school enrichment and tutoring at the 9th grade. MAP is a system we have called Missing Assignments Aren't Permitted. It's teacher-led. It's an afternoon instructional support. So let's say it could be anywhere from the child struggled with the assignment that night and didn't understand it. Let's say this kid was home with the flu and missed 2 classes. Or the kid was being a knucklehead and just didn't do it. Regardless, providing that additional time for kids with their teacher to get the help and support that they need to learn the material and master their learning goals.
Question about that.
Sure.
How do you get the kids in that session?
So, I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but at 9th grade we've actually been picking up the kids at the end of the day, but next year we've built it in so that on the 9th grade we're restructuring. I'm going to talk about 9th grade teams in a minute, but we've restructured it a little differently, so I'll go into that with that. 10th through 12th graders, they do go on their own. It's interesting to watch. Many either do not. But then as time goes on, MAP has been becoming full. So as I would say the second 9 weeks of each semester, you see an increase of kids going, oh my gosh, I need to get my teacher support. And I think also with the relationship, the teachers that have the stronger relationship with the kids academically, you do see an increased participation there. So that's been nice to see. And I think it's something that you do over time. It has definitely worked and improved over the course of the school year. It was a foreign concept to many kids. But now if you go, I would say almost every teacher has kids coming in after school. And now you hear teachers saying, I think I need to do it twice a week, which is great to hear. We also have other tutoring supports. We have a math lab to support our 10th through 12th graders with math after school. Yes, mentoring, Colorado Youth for Change, athletic tutoring, Colorado I Have a Dream, and even next year it's not on, oh, I did put it here. The partnership with Mikasa, we just got a 21st Century grant we're so excited about. For example, Lake and Skinner Middle School, they both have comprehensive after-school neighborhood programming centers for kids and families. And so we just got awarded the 21st Century grant so that we can start our own neighborhood center here at North High School, which will offer the tutoring supports, and really targeting some of the career readiness pieces and STEM pieces, and also parent training for those, to be able to offer those parental supports. Next year, we're redesigning our schedule. One of the things that's currently in place is any kid has a different 8 set of teachers. We have really created teams of teachers. So much like in some of the middle grades, 4 teachers, language arts, math, science, and social studies teacher will share the same 120 kids so that we can increase the supports, shuffle them at the end of the day for the MAP, provide the college and career readiness lessons as a team, and also have more focused team meetings with families. Because that's been one of the things that we have not been able to do due to the schedule, because everybody has a different set of parents. And so this way, those 4 teachers share the same team of families. And so we'll be able to do that. So that's really exciting. We're so excited about that. We're having that with the 9th grade team. We'll also have a 10th grade team, and then we have an 11th, 12th grade team. It also is going to, the expanded learning opportunities is going to, like I talked about, provide the opportunity for honors classes to go deeper and increase our ability to provide even more math fluency. We were talking today as a math department. Kids are really getting the concepts, but sometimes they're lacking some of the basic skills. And so figuring out how do we use that increased time to support kids depending on where they are. Also with our expanded learning opportunities, we are increasing Spanish. One of the things that we have said is that loud and clear in Northwest Denver is that we need to make sure that we provide opportunities for kids who are coming from dual language programs and kids that are getting world language programs in either their elementary or middle grades. And so we are increasing that to be able to provide more opportunities for the Spanish language. We are also in Chinese and looking to increasing Chinese, and then hopefully someday down to Arabic. We know we need to focus on those major world languages that are going to make sure our kids are ready for that 21st century. Other things, we're expanding music, which is really nice to see. These have been driven by kid demand. And so that's another piece of this, is we really surveyed the kids to look at where are their interests, and good thing that they're matching our interests. They probably didn't express the need for reading intervention, but we did as a community. Our collaborative school committee talked a lot about this and making sure that we are preparing kids to be on grade level at reading. Unfortunately, currently our students are not. It is getting better. Our elementary schools are doing a much better job over the last 10 years. Our middle grades are starting to do better, and so hopefully that will continue through the high school. But we're doing expanding that opportunity for reading intervention for those kids who are drastically below grade level, especially at that 9th and 10th grade, and catching them early so that they can be successful for junior and senior year. And then expanding our concurrent enrollment options. And it should also say AP options. So we are providing more courses for concurrent enrollment, partnerships with UCD and CCD, so kids can take college classes here at North, get their college credit free on DPS, saving parents thousands of dollars, and also making sure we expand our AP offerings in all the different subjects so our kids can take that alternative route to make sure they graduate with advanced placement credit.
Can freshmen enroll in AP in concurrent enrollment classes?
Currently, I believe, and don't quote me because I am not the concurrent enrollment guru, but I believe it is seniors have some, so there's some preferential for seniors. I think there is a bill that is on the table that looks at expanding that for kids 9th through 12th. And I don't know all the details. It's something that we are pushing. But I believe there's some law, Colorado law issues around who can take what and for what. In regards to advanced placement, yes, we know that most AP classes, the kids need a prerequisite. Let's say in honors. So for example, we know that kids should probably they need to take honors biology before they take AP biology, or honors chemistry before AP chemistry. Putting them into a chemistry class, an AP chemistry class, would be a recipe for disaster. And that's one of the things that we learned the hard way here at North High School. Last year they did a great job of putting tons of kids into AP classes without them having the prereq skills and content knowledge that are needed to be successful in the AP class and on the AP exam. So we're redesigning the kind of what we call course pathways to ensure that kids get those prerequisites either with an honors or a pre-AP class prior to taking it. So for example, AP US History, we have put kids into AP US History. We know that the majority of kids who take that for the first time without taking US History or honors don't do as well, and so we're realigning those course pathways. There is certainly room for the oddity. We do have some kids that are highly gifted in something, and that's okay too. We do have, for example, a junior that will be in AP Calculus next year, or a kid that will be in AP Calc as a junior, because that kid has taken all those prereqs. So it depends on the child. We're doing a lot of work around attendance. This is something that, at the middle grades, I inherited when I first went to the middle school. Attendance was abysmal, and I was so focused on this. And it was amazing to see the transformation over a 5-year period of how strong the attendance became, and then the correlation to academic achievement. Imagine that. It's a no-brainer. So we are transforming that culture here, making sure that we provide a lot of interventions as well as positive behavior supports for positive attendance. And so we're doing a lot and partnering with our partners to help support that. As kids go out and have jobs, as kids become the oldest sibling, there are challenges that face their life, and so we're trying to figure out how do we provide those supports for positive attendance. And then this is my favorite part, is the career readiness piece that we've, I think, really transformed here this school year particularly. And we've hired, part of our turnaround is utilizing a student success coordinator to implement what we call learning communities. So in the learning communities, it's about 15 kids with an adult mentor. Could be a teacher, could be a paraprofessional, it's an adult mentor. And in those learning communities, they work on their personal education plans, which is something that is required for graduation. That helps them builds the resume, starts getting them focused on different career clusters, thinking about what are the prereq classes I need to be successful in those career pathways. Also thinking about, especially the junior year, how are we supporting ACT pathway implementation? This year we're really happy we were able to give the Explore and the Plan test at the freshman and sophomore level, which are the kind of the freshman and sophomore level of the ACT, so kids could get that practice, look at their results, set goals, and so it's a 3-year process in the building instead of just waiting to my junior year and taking it. So we've been doing a lot of work around that. And then, as I talked about, doing a lot of work on the pre-AP honors and AP courses so that we can accelerate kids. Athletics and activities, we've had a lot of great success this year. 90% of the freshmen involved in at least one activity club or athletic team. We're bringing lacrosse back to North next year, so we're really excited about that. We have an amazing coaching staff. That was one of the things I kind of dreaded. There's this myth about high school coaches. And even maybe from my own teacher standpoint, coaches bullying teachers, so that the kids can play. We don't have that here at North High School. Our coaching staff is so focused on academics, my heart beats all the time. They are the ones that are making sure that kids are strong in the classroom first. They don't play around, and the kids are really rising to that. And so our coaching staff has done a fabulous job to support that. We started a new booster club. We've introduced debate and student leadership class, more drama and music opportunities. The North Drumline performed at the Nuggets game, and for Mayor Hancock at the opening of Union Station, the dedication ceremony, and then even thinking about adding that Mikasa After School Program Center next year. So we're really excited about that.
Question?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you also introduced that core course GPA for the student athletes.
Yes, so that was part of it, is part of our athletics, is making, we have a higher bar here at North High School for participation in athletics. Our GPA needs to be, it's like 1.8 at the state level, which is
1.67.
1.67, that's the state rule. That's atrocious. I think ours is 2.5.
Yeah.
Ours is 2.5. So that's one thing, and so that's, yeah, I know, 1.67. That's atrocious. Now,
Introduce signing them up for that, so they know what the NCAA.
Yeah, and also about the college and career readiness is working with NCAA too, so kids understand what the requirements are from the athletic point of view so that they are ready for college. So we've been doing those twofold. And even I went to our basketball banquet in February, March, something like that. And what was amazing to see is at this basketball banquet, they were publicizing all the fabulous GPAs and the highest ranked GPAs of our top players. So once again, using that lens that kids need to be strong in the classroom, that they are scholar athletes and not just athletes. So making that part of our culture. In regards to, we've done a great job this year increasing parent involvement at district-wide parent meetings. We've had a dramatic decrease in parent complaints. Now, Terry must have given this statistic. I didn't know that, so I don't ever get parent complaints, or not very many, so I'm glad that that's happening. Parent engagement at the school level has definitely increased in athletic activities, student-led conferences. Next year, we're looking at how do we create a parent watch group so that we can help as a community with the supervision piece. We've got a lot of stuff going on in our streets. Something I can't necessarily control here. We've got 60 doors in this building, and we know, I mean, we all live here. I live 5 blocks away. I know exactly what goes on, but so how do we increase as parents and as a community to support making sure our kids are safe, and then also providing a parent resource center and parent training, so stuff that we are looking forward to next year. Hosting regular academic celebrations like I talked about. We did a lot of communication around activities and events, but making sure that we bring parents in for academic celebrations to ensure that they understand where their kids are, what they're doing well in. Student-led conferences, even creating a student leadership group so that they create have voice within our community. And then the other thing I've actually really enjoyed this last year is doing once a month coffee talks with our current parents to hear what's on their mind, what's going well, where do we need to work on, and those things. So that's been, and we're going to continue that. In regards to long-range planning, one thing that's, I keep getting that question is, how many kids can North High School hold? So we did a calculation, and I think if we sardine everybody in, it's about 1370. That's not including we do share a campus with our West Denver Prep Middle School, so that's not including their facility. Everything that belongs to us over here, we can fit, if we sardine everybody in, it's about 1370. So I think an ideal population here at North High School would be around 1,200. That way we can still have facilities for community-based partners, their after-school tutoring programs, and all of those things. So that's kind of one of the things that we're building towards. This year, at October count, we were 943. A year prior, we were at 808. So increasing that, and I think part of that is our ability to reach out to our community, reach out to our families, and getting the buzz out there that there is good work going on here. Another goal is to make sure a third of our students are taking at least one honors or AP course, so that they are prepared for college. Increasing electives around world language, music and arts, and media arts technology-based electives, and even maybe seeing how do we partner those as concurrent enrollment classes so they can get, let's say, the technology skills but gain college credit at the same time. And then having a really strong feeder pattern communication and alignment, ensuring that the kids, when they arrive to North, that this has been a product of our work, for a while, and ensuring that they come to the door stronger prepared so that we can reach these other goals. And lastly, our culture change is this high expectations. I was an 11th grader, it's like, miss, I've been with you since 6th grade. Your expectations are so high. And I was like, yeah, but look where you are now. And I said, you'll thank me in a year and a half from now. So really making sure that we don't let up on those high expectations for kids. We have to make sure that we believe in them, believe in our ability as a community to support them to reach those challenges, and creating that college-going culture with consistency. And it's one thing that, that was at the very beginning of the presentation, was that's where we were, inconsistent, to now we are really focused on being consistent with this college-going culture, making sure kids are college and career ready, and having high expectations and believing in them because they can do it. So, with that, that's my State of the Union, or State of the North. Questions and try and answer them to the best of my ability. Like I said, I've been here since August. I'm so happy with the fast work we've done so far. I did not think it would move this fast, and so I've been pleasantly surprised. And that what it does, it's encouraging, because what it means is that we are going to have a top-notch traditional neighborhood high school in Northwest Denver. Questions? Yes.
I have a few questions. I came prepared.
Good. I like it.
Okay, good. So this question I just got tonight. You say the word data a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And here's some background. We do not go to a DPS school, so you might hear that in between the lines.
Okay.
Okay. So I hear data a lot. So how much flexibility do you have and creativity do you have? Because I understand you're accountable to DPS, right, to perform. Okay, good. So how much room do you have to do what you need to do in the creativity department, flexibility to motivate these kids? You get my question?
I do whatever is good for kids. I think that's kind of how I've always operated. I have never felt constrained. I've not had constraint, or I've never felt constrained in my ability to be creative around doing the best job for kids. So, and I think the reason I've been in DPS for over 10 years is because I've actually felt a lot of support from our board to my instructional superintendent, to our superintendent, to say, Nicole, we want you to push the envelope so that we can do the best job of making sure kids are academically prepared and college and career ready. So I have never felt necessarily constrained in that aspect, and I actually appreciate all the support and encouragement to do that.
Okay, all right, good. These two questions are kind of related. Motivating a smart yet lazy student to do her best, maybe exceed her expectations. What structure support do you have for that kind of kid?
That sounds like a traditional high school kid. Could be a middle school kid. It's not uncommon. I think one of the things is I talked a little bit about engaging kids in activities and athletics because they need a hook. So we've got to find every kid's kind of passion and interest. If we can identify that, that's one way to increase that motivation and engagement to just even come to school. So that's one of the pieces. The other piece is the mentoring aspect. So making sure, one of the things our support staff has done an outstanding job with this year is really looking at every single child and making sure that every single child has a one. Is that one adult, a minimum of one adult that connects with that child to help support that. And then the other piece is making sure kids feel successful. We know that success breeds motivation and engagement. So if we can put in, whether it's rewards and recognition and celebrations, to even that teacher conferencing with that child and saying, oh my gosh, that was a brilliant idea on your essay, even if the kid could write. You know, so whether you're high end or low end or whatever, is having that kid feel success on that minute aspect and instruction, or school-wide, partnered with a hook and an adult. We'll take one more and
Okay,
then
got
I'll
it.
pass it
Sorry.
around.
Homework. Single parent, busy with managing a business, etc. So this kid comes home with homework and is not motivated to do the homework. How do you get, that's what was around that question earlier, how do you get the kid to go to the after school thing when they really should, but they...
Homework is a big debate in education. You know, there is the research out there on homework, just the word homework, is really inconclusive to kids' academic success. I actually supervise the math department, and one of the things that we have been working on since November is thinking about our grading practices. And we talked about this aspect of homework. So as math teachers, we know practice is important, right? Is homework important? I don't know. Practice is important in order for kids to be good at math. So we've been re-looking at our structures and systems, and even next year in the math department, we're eliminating the word homework. And it's now going to be practices. We read this fabulous article about high school, actually. I believe it's in California, urban, Title I, probably 3,000 kid high school, that really transformed their culture around getting kids to be intrinsically motivated to practice rather than this compliance piece around homework. And it's called No Penalties for Practice. So if anybody wants to read it, I would say Google it. It's a great article. But thinking about how do you create a culture where kids realize that practicing actually makes them successful, and they feel success, and then they practice more. And so we're re-looking at how we do that in the area of math, and next year we'll be looking at how we do that in science and our other subjects. But thinking about making sure, whether it's homework or practice, that it's one, engaging the kids. If they don't find meaning in it, don't find that it's going to help them be successful, then it's not worth doing. So making sure that whatever we pick, as whether it's homework or practice, that it's intentional, that kids feel like they actually gain something from doing it. And then the other piece too is thinking about maybe homework looks different. You know, I think kids think homework is taking a worksheet home and completing it a lot of times. If I'm a kid, why is that relevant to me? So thinking about maybe one of the things we're doing with our 9th grade teachers, I'm taking our 9th grade teachers on Friday to see High Tech High School in San Diego. And High Tech High School does a lot of great work around project-based learning. And how do we make sure that these projects that kids are working on are honing their skills and content knowledge and getting them to strengthen their 21st century skills? That's the kind of homework that kids are going to find meaningful. And so making sure that we rethink what this word homework really means. If we can do that, then we can engage kids more. But I do find kids do go to after school because, not necessarily to do their homework because they're excited about doing homework, but because that one adult or that city or core member, that relationship, that hook. So that's another way to deal with that. Okay, Lisa and then Ed.
Could you speak to how you inform parents about their children's data? And how do you bring them in as partners? I mean, specifically, like parent-teacher conferences, how do you promote it? How do you lure them in, and what's your attendance
So
rate?
getting away from parent-teacher conferences is number one.
Okay.
So one of the things we moved towards this year, we planted a little seed in our October conferences and then a larger seed in our February conferences, and really moving towards student-led conferences. Making sure that these are led by students. We even went so far to say in February, we had the seats organized so that the student sits here and the parent sits there. So they have to look at each other, and the teacher sits next to the student so that that kid is actually doing the presenting and can't wait for the teacher. So we tried to think about, even to seating arrangements, how do we facilitate kids talking to their families about their data and their progress? Student-led conferences is difficult to do. It's not something we can just say it's done. I have seen it done well, and it takes a good 2 to 3 years for it to become the norm, but that's what we're going to be increasing how that's done, and then even possibly even bringing parents into our final BOE piece, or maybe our initial BOE piece at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year. Figuring out how do we offer more so kids can talk about what their data is, maybe even collaboratively sit with their parents and determine what those goals are. So that it will increase and grow over time, but those are some of the pieces that we started initiating this school year. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have any settings where you're using students to tutor other students?
So tutors to tutor other students. So
The students to tutor other
right.
students.
So one of our partners I talked about is Yes Mentor. Yes Mentoring. It is a phenomenal program where we take our juniors and seniors that are really kind of strong leaders, strong both in the classroom and in the school. And they are mentors to some of our most struggling 10th graders. And they have a class where they literally tutor them within the school day, partnering together in that. And then we also provide leadership training for those mentors. Where, in fact, if anybody wants to come to our award celebration, I believe it's May 9th, is that it? Must be May 10th. May 9th?
May 9th.
I've got an event every day next week, so it's one of those days next week. But it's a phenomenal program, and to see the kids, not just the sophomores that have drastically improved, but to see the leadership skills out of our juniors and seniors that are the peer mentors. We also work with Colorado Uplift. Our Colorado Uplift classes go to our elementary schools and do, reading in class with the kids too. So those are other ways that happens. Yeah.
Nicole, you described that the change is going faster than you thought. Can you give us some examples of that change and if appropriate, quantify that change?
So, if I quantify it, so some of that data around our course assessments, you know, improving math is difficult to do. It's tough. And especially if we don't work at it as a feeder system. And so the other piece too, knowing that our kids here have come in with a lot of, you know, I would say skill deficiencies in mathematics over time. And so just looking at the quantitative piece, being able to look at this from just 6 months, from August to December, or August to February, I was highly encouraged. We have some phenomenal math teachers at this school. But what's been interesting is they've never gotten the support and professional development to do their job really well before. And so with just some of that support, they are so invigorated and so excited. And we met with Kathy Martin, who is the director of math and science for the district. We met with her today. We said, we want to figure out more, how do we do things even smarter next school year? We met with her, and they're ready to plan all June. You know, and I was like, you got to take a break. Don't forget, don't get burned out. But I think that's part of it, is that the excitement has drastically increased from the teacher perspective, and then it's translating into student results because they're getting that support to do their job well.
My question is, when I first went to the neighborhood looking at elementary schools and have kids, there weren't really any good solid choices, right? And now, there's 3 or 4, and we think about, well, what's different between the Brown and the Edison and Sandoval, right? So looking at transformation, talking about data, what are your resources? Like, have you looked at schools like Easton? I only know it anecdotally. Who knows? It could be from East High School, yes, but High Tech High in California, all those places, what are you learning from them? What are your resources? What are you trying to bring here to make these goals happen?
Yeah, so I think studying other people's best practice is super important, and that's one of the reasons we're taking the night. I got an opportunity, the district sent some of us principals to go see High Tech High in February. And I went in and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need to be the one seeing this. I need my teachers to see this because they're the ones who are doing this work in the classroom. So we're actually partnering with Rachel B. Knoll Middle School, and they're sending a group of teachers, and we're sending our 9th grade teachers to go and look at these practices. And they have done a phenomenal job around this project-based learning. But the other piece that is phenomenal to see is the displaying of quality student work. It is almost like a museum. It is, and I think part of that, and their ability to do that really creates an academic culture and gets kids proud of what they're working towards and working on. So getting teachers to really see that. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We do read articles about other places. We are collaborating. Like I said, even our feeder schools, we've got some really solid, effective practices going on in some of our middle schools, whether it's the entire school or whether it's an individual teacher, and so partnering with them to learn and share. And then also we've been working with the Public Education and Business Coalition, who's done a lot of great work around supporting teachers utilizing thinking strategies to get them students to be strong critical thinkers. Our English teachers have been at tomorrow's day 4, and I can't wait for them to come back because the kids are crawling up the wall. But the investment in teachers to participate in a Thinking Strategies Institute has been a phenomenal approach, and they are so excited to be able to learn about some of these best practices and bring them back to their classroom, and not necessarily just bringing back to their classroom tomorrow, but also thinking long-range planning. So we definitely need to be out there. Also, the other part too, that we, through our work with PBC, have been doing a lot of both internal and external learning labs. What that means is a teacher hosts. It is not necessarily a model classroom. It can be, doesn't have to be. But where a teacher is working on something in regards to their practice, people observe, they do a pre-brief, they observe the lesson, and they do a debrief, and then they plan. So our teachers have, we hosted one lab here, so one of our teachers hosted, and a teacher that's just, you know, a normal teacher saying, this is what I'm grappling with, help me think through this. To we've got, they've been doing some of the labs at Skinner, looking at teachers conferring with kids in science. Our English teachers have been going to Smoky Hill High School and looking and working with Leslie Cochran, who has been doing a lot of great work around conferring with kids and getting them to articulate their thinking. So getting them out to different places, no matter what the level is too. I mean, I remember taking middle school teachers to an elementary classroom to see how do elementary teachers do small group instruction, because elementary teachers do it the best, and secondary teachers don't necessarily. So thinking about getting them to physically see these things in action. Yes?
How many kids are currently at West End Prep?
I don't know, but I'd say about 200, because they're about 100, 120 per grade, I believe.
So if over time, if your goal is to have 1,200 kids here, if over time, because I know a lot of families in the neighborhood really want to send their kids to a neighborhood high school, I can see it reaching capacity quickly.
Yeah.
So what will happen then? Like,
Well, they're just a middle school, so they're only expanding one more year, and their facility is for that 330 kids for that middle school.
Will they always have, how long is their lease for that wing, or?
I don't know. Does anybody else know? Probably, as long as they're doing well academic achievement-wise.
I mean, in other words, if North were bursting at the seams.
If North became bursting at the seams, I'm sure we'd relook at it, but I anticipate their middle school will stay unless they want to move. But if all of a sudden North needs to become 1,800, then I'm sure we'd probably relook at it. But I think a good goal is 1,200. Yeah.
I believe Western Prep's leaving Coonsmiller next year. Do you know why or how that?
No, they've got their own high school, middle school facility down there. Got
They're
the
moving to
Lutheran-
their own facility now?
Yeah.
Yes.
As someone who doesn't have a high school enrolled for a couple of years,
It's all right.
what's the best way we can support you and the school? to
Dress them
make-
in purple. No. I think one of the things is I was a long time ago. They were saying, what's the best way to support, or how do people think positively or negatively about the school? And it's about the conversations in the grocery store. It's about the conversations at the gas station. It's about the conversations getting your nails done. It's about those conversations. So I think one of the things is highlighting what is working. Yes, every school has its challenges, but I think one of the things we have teachers do, and that I need to do as a principal, is focus on people's strengths, because only from our strengths can we get stronger. And so I think the same way around schools, if we can focus on what's working, continue to maintain that, enhance that, and talk about and publicize that, that will create that motivation and engagement community-wide for a school. I also say, if you challenge people who don't necessarily support and say, have you walked through the halls? Have you met with the principal? Give her a call. She'll take you around. You can see it. And it was a strange cultural shift here. I just take people. I walk through the classrooms. I don't care what classroom you're in, what time. I don't tell people we are public schools. Our doors should be open at any point in time. And so really challenging people to say, hey, go walk through classrooms. Let's do it. And then what are you doing about it to help support? And so I think challenging some of the negative perceptions that have existed for a long time, which is hard to counteract, but also focusing on what is working and capitalizing on those strengths. I think that's the best way. And coming to all the activities. We have like spring flings and different things. And purple. I've had to invest in some purple clothing myself.
I have two questions.
Sure.
We're kind of loving, so I'll tell you both of them. The first is, it's been great hearing about some of the improvements of this past year. And I was wondering if you have some specific goals for the next year or next few years, what those goals are for specific improvements. That's question one. And then my second question is, my son's 4, so I've just started reading about schools and education. I've been reading a lot about No Child Left Behind, and one of the critiques that I keep reading is about schools having to be so focused on the testing and preparing students for testing that it takes emphasis away from like meaningful instruction. And do you feel like that's much of an issue, or have you felt constrained by that, or how much is that a thing here? And then the second critique being to also take an emphasis away from subjects like history and science and arts, because so much emphasis is going on the math and reading and writing scores, which schools are held accountable for. So does that feel like a problem?
So the first question around long-range goals is obviously making sure that we are decreasing the number of kids who need remedial classes when they go to college. Parents should not have to be paying for that stuff. That should be taken care of before they leave our doors. So really looking at that piece. Also making sure that we increase our number of kids, like what I talked about, that are making sure, trying to get at least a third of our kids taking at least one honors or AP class while they're here at North, so that they can find their hook and their passion. And even, going as far to say, let's bring back AP Art, so it's not necessarily AP English. So providing those opportunities for kids. And the other goal is making sure that, is obviously the data piece, is making sure kids are increasing their ACT scores so they have access to colleges of their choice. Sometimes there aren't choices because of different academic achievement data points, and so making sure that they have the choices to make, because that's ultimately what this is about, is providing access for children. In regards to test preparation, it's funny, before I became a principal, I was one of these like anti-test people, I think. I don't know how outspoken I was about it, but then as a principal, it's just part of my normal daily business. I think, our state tests, if kids are proficient, they have certain skills. I don't think that drives what we do. What drives what we do is making sure that kids are strong thinkers, readers, writers, speakers, listeners, creative. That's what's got to drive it. Because ultimately, if they can do that, then they can do anything. And we, like I talked about, we met with the director of math today to talk about next year how, as we start moving towards the Common Core standards, which really are just about good thinking practice in any subject. As we start moving to that with our curriculum and our teaching, that CSAP or TCAP doesn't match that. And what we would have liked to see is that maybe the state saying freeze TCAP or CSAP for 1 year as we have our 2-year rollout to get there. And so we're regardless of TCAP, we want to do well, but we're not going to teach to it. We're really working on making sure kids are ready to gain the skills and that are the Common Core standards around reading, writing, speaking, listening, being 21st century learners. That's what's got to guide us. So I don't feel constrained by it. I do think it is a dipstick. I do think it's important, whether it's interim testing from the district, whether it's looking at student work on a weekly basis as a teacher, to our state tests. It's about a whole body of evidence that needs to drive what we do. One and two.
Well,
Two and one.
Well, first, I'd like to say, because we've talked to you plenty.
No,
Yeah, our son's coming here next year. And I will say this, we were looking at Lakewood High for the IB program, because you were asking, what do I do if my kid can currently attend a DPS school or is out of district or whatever. We were going for the IB program, and specifically because our kid's a smart, lazy kid as well. So we were looking, who's going to be able to guide him the best? We abandoned that idea because Ms. Veltze was here. And we've dealt with her plenty in the past. And what we found here at North was that rather than saying, okay, the IB program gets this upper echelon of children, that we will continue to teach at a high level, she offers that to all the students, which is kind of unfortunate for those schools where those kids get kind of forgotten about, if they're not performing at that level. We took our kid and we said, well, we see the overall goal is to springboard him to college. And we found that we could get that here, stay in the neighborhood, which is, everyone always asks, well, do I move into this neighborhood because I love everything about it, but the high school? At this point, all that is changing, just as we've seen the neighborhood change, the school's changing. So it's fortunate for the people here that if you haven't been a long-time resident, then at least you have an opportunity to ride the wave for once and be in front of everything that's happening. Because North High School is actually trend-setting on levels that we probably won't understand truly until the next 7 years. But we believe that he has the best support system, along with the extracurricular activities, to get him to the college of his choice. So that's why we're here.
Start recruiting. Yes.
My question has to do with the changing demographic of the school. And my kids right now are at a dual language school, and there's been a shift. And we're kind of realizing that there's some tensions around that between the parents. And I think it's a good thing that our kids are probably little enough that they're not aware of it yet. But I think by the time they get to high school, they will be. And so how do you navigate through that at the high school level? I guess community-wide, but in terms of how the parents handle that and how the students handle that.
I think the adults have a harder time with it than the kids, to call it like it is. I think one of the things, somebody was talking about, where did we go? Oh, I went to a student leadership, the Student Board of Ed had a meeting last week where all the Student Board of Ed representatives for all the high schools came with some of their school leaders, and they talked a lot about what are things that the student leaders initiated in their schools over the course of the year. And we had to get mixed groups. And then after we shared in our mixed group from all different schools, and then we came back to our own school group and said, what did you hear? And it was really interesting to hear two of the students who actually are three of our, we have 2 Student Board of Eds this year and 2 coming up next year, and 3 of them have been my students since 6th grade, so that's really nice to see. But the second part of that, what they said is they heard from other schools that a lot of schools did a lot of work around bullying, like anti-bullying stuff. And they were like, we don't have that much of a problem with that in our high school. And I said, yeah, you're right. I mean, I focused on it a lot at the middle school level because it's very middle school sorts of behaviors. But, and I was like, you're right. But for what was interesting for me is to hear our kids say this, that they didn't feel the kind of the social challenges around, bullying and support. Our prom king, I don't know if anybody read, is it this coming Sunday, I think? Our prom king was a kid in one of our multi-intensive centers that has cognitive and physical disabilities. For the seniors to overwhelmingly vote for this kid as the prom king and get out on the dance floor with a girl that doesn't have disabilities, I mean, speaks loud and clear about the kind of the culture of acceptance I think our kids have here at North High School, which I have never seen before. In fact, I had a special educator I worked with a long time ago email me when they saw that, and they said, oh my God, this is what we're all working towards. And it was very interesting to see, how accepting our kids are. And I think the reason North is like that is because our middle schools are actually doing a pretty good job of kind of bringing these issues to the forefront and teaching from respect to anti-bullying curriculums, et cetera, et cetera. So as we do that as a feeder pattern, I think, we will continue to see low levels around that. There obviously are always class issues, race issues, sexism issues, all that. That's part of our world. But I think our kids hear a lot of it more from our adult world than our kid world. And so figuring out I think we need to do more about parent training around it as opposed to more the kid component, and which is refreshing to see at this school. The other thing, one of the things, thank you for reminding me, this second year we've done what we call Challenge Day. And it's something you can Google. Challenge Day Denver is when we take all of the 9th graders, we do it in 3 groups of 100 kids. And they really confront a lot, we do it early in the fall, where they confront a lot of these issues around all the isms and stereotypes and to kind of really peel the onion about respecting who is at the core and why people are the way they are. And so that's the second year we've done it, and I think that's another reason if we do those things early on, that will continue to support. And we're always actually looking for adult volunteers to help with Challenge Day Denver. So if that's something you're interested in for the fall, email Corey here. Corey Hauk will get you on a list, and we'll try and get you in as a volunteer for Challenge Day. I think the adults who have volunteered actually have gotten even more out of it too than just all the kids. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just looked around and noticed that the people in this room probably do not represent your school's
Correct.
population. 10% minority in this room, but that's not the same as in the general population. Do you have any way to,
Well,
or any thoughts on reaching the rest to
Yeah.
present this message to
Well, I
them?
wouldn't say it's 10% people of color. I think, there's many more of us in here that are people of color, but I think language, if you look at language in
Okay.
this room, we definitely don't represent the language of our community. And so one of the things is we sent this out to our elementary schools, Columbian, Beach Court, Sandoval, Edison, Brown, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things we need to do is make sure that the schools are giving those flyers out in their folders, but also thinking about our time. We did this at 5:30. We know many parents work, and so one of the things, if we want to be more responsive to a more diverse set of parents, we need to make sure that we're doing it later, and so that's thinking through some of those things. Yeah.
You were talking about you were monitoring their reading progress. What programs do you use, or how do you monitor their reading, and how do you get emergent readers who are also big strapping teenagers to be good readers?
So one of it is looking at a body of evidence. It's not about one reading assessment or another. So we obviously start with our CSEP or TCAP. Then we break that down by the reading standards. Then we look at their interim assessments. So we look at their fall interim assessments. We also look at their spring prior, because we want to see how did they end the school year prior. We also look at SRI scores, the Scholastic Reading Inventory, which is about reading fluency. That's one of the things all our middle grades also provide. Or if not, the DRA2, which is what our K-8s are looking at and taking those results. Then after we wheedle down the kids with, I would just say the kids of concern, or like a common low level over time, and from those variety of assessments, then we give them more assessments to determine, is it a fluency issue? Is it a phonemic awareness issue? Is it, I'm not the reading expert. Comprehension issue, yes. So looking at what are those differences, because it's not, you may be at a third grade level, you may be at a fifth grade level, but you may both have a fluency issue. So grouping it based on the issue as opposed to the grade level. And so within that, we do oral reading fluency assessments, we use the Macaulay-Crabs, and there are other curriculum-based measurements that we use. Yeah.
I was curious, is it a rumor only that another school wants to co-locate here at North, or is that, is that intended, or is that, do you have any information about that?
The district, there is a proposal that will be going to the board in, I believe it's in June, I'm not following totally closely, but in June, for a high school to open up in Northwest Denver. And so I know that obviously, like any school that starts a new school would love an existing facility, because it's easier to do a school. And so they're looking at lots of different facilities. Well, there's not lots. There's a few existing facilities, of which North is an existing facility. And so anything, they're doing, I would say, capacity studies. They're looking at I would say, ultimately, it's about what our community wants. I find our board members super responsive, like I said earlier, to hearing community voices. And so I think ultimately it's what our community thinks is what we need, needs to be voiced to our board and continue that dialogue. So I believe it's on the table, but I'd say there's other things that are also on the table.
Ms. Veltze, if
Yeah.
I may, Mike, do you want to address this? Because aren't you in charge of a forum next week?
No, I think, if people want to talk more, I do believe Mike Kiley has more information. So maybe at the end, if you want to share anything, that would be great.
Sure, you bet.
Okay. Other questions?
I have one if nobody else has one.
Go for it. Okay.
Closed campus, they're not allowed off at lunch, and if so, I love that.
I would love it too. It's interesting. We are technically a closed campus. I find that we're only closed when I stand out in front of the building for 2 hours. And so, like I said, with the 64 doors, it is kind of a nightmare. That's one of the reasons we're starting a parent watch support group, so that we can get community volunteers out to different areas and help us, because we probably need 60 lunchroom supervisors. But I think one of the things we're entertaining, I was talking with one of our assistant principals about next year. We are having all of the 9th graders have their own lunch, and then 10th through 12th graders have their lunch. I think one of the things is I do believe it's okay if they're older and if they get back in time for their class. Those are the big ifs. So if we can ensure those pieces, off-campus isn't a bad issue for our older kids. So one of the things we've designed particularly for next year is so that 9th grade lunch is totally separate time, and there's a buffer in between, so that the 9th grade will for sure be closed campus. 10th through 12th grade, we're entertaining conversations, and I'm actually going to meet with our student leadership to help me think through this. I've talked about different ideas of whether it's based on per kid attendance, so the second you drop below, let's say 90% attendance, your off-campus privileges, on your ID. We talked about scanning IDs too, that as a way to monitor. We've also talked about if we say, if a grade level's attendance drops below 90%, then we say close campus for 1 week for sophomores, or whatever the grade level is for that positive peer pressure. So we're entertaining what those options look like. I do think it's something we do have to address for 10th through 12th graders. If I had my druthers, I'd just do only 12th graders. But I do think that it has to be tied with attendance, because part of the reasons about closed or open campuses is getting kids back. And so we're going to be looking at that for next year and how we handle that.
You're gonna have to close the yogurt place.
Well, actually, Grandma Dora's has the best chili cheese fries. That is our biggest issue. And it's probably not our best nutritional aspect, but they are divine. And so it's like they call. But we've actually, when they first opened, I talked to her about our thinking about doing something around IDs. And she was like, great, let me know. Because if we build like an ID system where a kid, so she can check their ID, they're in support of that. So thinking about how do we find some balance. Yeah.
Maybe even another solution to that is getting different food sources into the cafeterias, because I'm an elementary school teacher, and I can't eat the elementary school lunches half the time. They're so bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's true. And one of the things I've been saying to students almost every day that I do stand outside, I say, then write a proposal, design the menu. I said, I will be the first to sign a petition with a proposal of a revised lunch menu. But that would entail some work, so we're working on that. But I have seen, actually, 1 year, I did a lot of work at the middle level around service learning and service learning projects and building towards larger culminating projects. And one of our middle schools in DPS, the grade level redesigned the lunch menu. They did surveys on food, they looked at the caloric intake and everything like that, created a proposal, worked with food services, and really created a great lunch menu that kids enjoy. Kids can do that. And we need to challenge them to be leaders in this too. So that's the other, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Yeah. So 1 and the 2.
When you talk the closed campus perimeter, I guess, you're talking like the sidewalk that goes out, so the kids are given, say, the front down here to hang out and have their lunch if they brought it, or is it the doors?
Oh, when we say closed campus, it's leaving the campus. So yeah, like the courtyard and the field should be open to kids. That's part of the on-campus. Yeah, because they need to burn some steam too. So, Lisa?
Well, I just had kind of a pushback on the homework. If we are getting the kids ready for college, I'm finishing the coursework for my MPA, May 31st. I've written 30-page papers. I've had 10, 12 hours of reading a week to do in addition to the course class time.
Absolutely.
So I think there's an academic discipline the kids have to have.
And that's what it is about.
Right.
Because it's about building the academic discipline to do the work that is going to make them successful. So whether we call it homework or whether we call it practice or whatever we call it, one, making sure that it's building their academic stamina, and number two, making sure it's meaningful to them, and number three, that they see the payoff from doing it. That's got to be the rule of thumb, because I would say they're in those larger essays, those larger projects, that's actually the good stuff that they end up, and then they can publish and they can display, and that's what the Common Core is working towards.
Okay,
Yeah.
the idea that you can only get it all done in school, so then you can play on
Oh,
Facebook
absolutely
and
not.
you can do.
And that's
not reality.
why it's about building a culture of practice, that there's payoff and you see the payoff from that. Because that's what I said, is as math teachers, we know the only way they're going to get stronger is by practicing. Yeah, you can't eliminate practice.
Okay, I
No,
just
no.
want to make sure.
And then, Riley,
I was just gonna share,
and then I'm actually going to close with you, so.
oh gosh, can I talk a long time? I just wanted to compliment or, praise the Yes Mentoring program, because Nicole will tell you I have a smart and lazy son. And there's only one class that he has not missed the entire semester, and that is Yes Mentoring class. And he had a student, his mentee had 5 Fs at the beginning of the semester. And it's taken a lot of time and done a lot of work, and he came and told me, he's only got 2 Fs now, Mom. Really thrilled and asking me for money all the time so he can take him out to lunch.
On our closed campus?
No, he goes and gets it and then he brings it back. But, I think that investment in the culture, in the community of the school has been really tremendous. And they take a lot of pride in working with a mentee and helping them improve. And he tutors them in math, all the time. And I think that's been a wonderful, wonderful experience for him, which he did not want to do at the beginning of the semester.
It's one of those programs that really helps the mentor and the mentee. My sister, I don't know, some of you don't know me, my sister came to live with me 2 years ago, now it's almost 3, and when I was at the middle school, so she came, and since I work all the time, I was like, you're going to North, I don't have time to drive you anywhere, so you walk. And so she came here for her junior and senior year, and she found amazing success here, getting in AP classes, and then she was also a Yes Mentor. And actually she tutored at one of our middle school's neighborhood centers, her junior, and then that inspired her to be a Yes Mentor her senior year. And seeing that growth and development, even as a strong student, continuing to get stronger, was amazing to see. And those mentees, their academic progress from just kid mentors has been really, truly phenomenal to see. So that's just like one amazing story about a lot of those different kinds of stories that are occurring here at North High School. We are so pleased with the progress that we have made over this year, and I am so excited, as my teachers, I'm so excited for next year and for the coming years for North High School. We have an amazing school, amazing support, amazing kids, amazing families, that really, I think if we all partner together, consistently with high expectations and a focus on making sure kids are college and career ready, we can do this, and we can be that jewel of Denver. So, Dora.
I want you to add that many North students do receive scholarships in college, and that there is an alumni scholarship foundation that gives over $50,000 every year in scholarships.
It's another amazing story. Like, that's the thing. There's so many opportunities. Like he said before, is the opportunities that we can provide kids are truly phenomenal. So whether I see your kid in 12 years or in 1 year or tomorrow, I want to thank you all for coming and stay and mingle and chat. And if there, I don't know if you guys, either of you want to say hello or any few closing words?
No, just Arturo Jimenez, your school board representative. I really want to thank you and really confirm the fact that Nicole has such respect within the district that she is able to push back. I know that was the first question. How much can she push back on district policies that might seem limiting towards raising academic achievement or the culture, changing the culture at the school? If there's anyone who can push back, it's Nicole. She has great respect district-wide from the superintendent, the instructional supers, the other principals, the parents. All of you who've been at Skinner already know this, so I'm not telling you anything new. So that is really important. The second thing, besides the other thing I wanted to reiterate was what she said, that the use for the schools does come from what the community desires and expresses to the school district. So in order to support Ms. Veltze and to support North High School, we really do ask you to join some of the efforts like Michael Kiley and David Diaz and many of you are involved with here to have that conversation with the school board at our next meeting. So, but it's so wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much for all of your work. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Veltze.
All right.
And just real quick, if everybody please sign in, because we really would like to share the good stuff moving forward with you all. So if you haven't signed in, please take a moment to sign in.
And then I think, Michael, I'm going to depart, but Mike, if you want to do any national